Hey guys, how about that? No soft open, huh? Well, I have a story time for you. Um, with everything going on, you've seen Brash Games and what's been going on with them, and what's going on with these airlines. People not being treated like they're human beings. I want to talk a little bit about my history as a games journalist, writer, whatever we want to call it these days. Ages ago, decade maybe even longer. I got my first taste in writing by going and getting the ability to publish or create a few reviews for Circuit City's Gamers Club, which now we know Best Buy kind of maybe took that idea a little bit, but I really enjoyed it, and I went forward and started writing some reviews on Cheap Ass Gamer. But it was kind of just almost more of a hobby and not something I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. Then I met a friend when I was working at Virginia College named Frank Morris, and he was a writer and really wanted me to follow that passion. And so for my birthday, he bought me a site domain, and with that, we together founded Gaming Irresponsibly. Now, Gaming Irresponsibly really was kind of our first full foray in doing anything anybody really wanted to take a look at. And it was me and Frank for a good little bit. And my brother helped out, and we wrote for a little bit. And really, honestly, I'll be honest with you, the whole goal for what I was doing was I wanted to get a game for free. That was how I got on board with writing about or doing reviews and stuff like that. Is I believe it was Disgaea 4, I think 3 or 4. Either way, I wanted to get the game for free because I was broke at the time, and it was just something I was like, man, I bet you these game reviewers and people out there, they can do that. Well, that spoiler, but that happened. I eventually did get that. But at the same time, I realized this was my calling. I really enjoyed talking about games and voicing my opinion, doing things like that. It was my calling, and so we grew. We published more work, focused on news, rumors. We brought on more people. Now, at the time, we were running ads, and from my understanding, this was just enough to effectively keep the site running. Upgrade different things as we received more traffic, adding features to the site like a forum and paying for the services behind that. And so we couldn't afford to pay people, and at the time I'm like, okay, well, that's cool, but we'll help get people out. We're gonna pay them with exposure, right? Totally original idea, awesome. Well, as we know, that's not, and it really wasn't okay. And my first realization that it wasn't okay was I was doing a Google search one day for something, and I typed in gaming irresponsibly on Google, and one of the questions was, how much does gaming irresponsibly pay? And I was like, well, that whoever Googled that was silly, because obviously we don't really pay right now. And then I realized that it had to have been Googled well enough that it was showing up as a predictive search. And then at that point in time, I'm like, well, I'm not making anything. And from what I know, Frank's not making anything. And, our comic writer wasn't making anything. And the people we had running stuff weren't making anything. And, it wasn't okay. I made an effort on my end from that point forward to try to offer some sort of payment to people. Now, unfortunately, I mean, I still was pretty broke, so still am, by the way. We made an effort to try to get things we had out, games, hardware, things like that. Gaming Responsibly continued to grow. It got real big, and Frank eventually left. And when he left, I was dealing with a lot of the stuff, and I realized there was a fair amount of money coming in. Not enough that I could say we could fully fill freelance rates, but enough that it seemed like, hey, over time, this should have we should have had something to kick towards writers. Not too long after completely taking the reins, I met Josh Dean and his team with Kmart Gamer. And after getting in good with them, I agreed to join their project Frontburner, which ultimately became my first Tier 1 writing gig. Made some great money as an actual staff writer, and it was amazing. And it was wonderful, and truthfully, honestly, one of the best times of my entire life. Outside of, my kids being born, getting married, buying a house for the first time. It was fantastic. Because of that, we winded down, or I winded down Gaming Irresponsibly. And, anybody who was still writing for the site, I said, hey, thanks. We're gonna let you go. And, I closed the site. At the same time, I was very happy that some of the people that wrote for the site went on to do big things. We had writers that wrote for IGN. We had people that took what they did and got jobs at EA and things like that. I mean, it was awesome. But I moved on to a more to an actual writing gig, and it was incredible to see how it worked when it was your job. And so, with that, I went out there and everything was working awesome, and we had a really major big deal going on with Best Buy. And I really don't want to get into too many of the details or anything, but long story short, we were played kind of, and everybody at the site lost their jobs. It happened pretty much when I was coming back from E3, so that sucked. But I was a man without a writing site, a voice. I've been making great money writing about games, and I still wanted to do that. I still do, honestly. So I did what I thought I needed to do, and that was I decided I was going to freelance. Realistically, freelancing opportunities aren't super great. I mean, it is literally the equivalent of throwing a piece of meat out there to starving dogs. They're going to tear each other to shreds. The industry itself's very volatile. People are willing to attack each other just to get ahead. And I was lucky enough. I found No Techie. I'm not even going to talk about some of the other stuff in between. Actually, I will. So, I started writing with Jason Evangelo on his site, Fatal Hero. Now, Fatal Hero, first it was no one's going to get paid, then everybody's going to get paid, and, there was some questions about what was going to happen with money, and Jason wanted to definitely make sure everybody got their due, which made sense. He was a paid writer for Forbes at the time. There was another dude, I can't even remember the douchebag's name, but this prick wanted to basically pocket any and all money and kind of, cut rates, They commissioned some work, some art to be done, and he wanted to undercut. Basically, he was a garbage human being. Actually, I do remember his name, but I'm not. You know what? He's not even worth talking about. So, we did that for a little bit. Jason ended up leaving the site. Everybody kind of moved on to their own things. Me, Jonathan White, and Dan Moran, I believe is how we say his last name, all worked on Fatal Hero for a little bit before I moved to No Techie, and then Jonathan moved to No Techie with me. No Techie pays us. Not a super great amount, but enough that, like, I feel like I'm getting some sort of contribution to what I'm doing. Hey, it helps me pay for some stupid stuff here and there, so I guess it's better than nothing. But the best thing about writing for No Techie is that Kevin, even though he has a total D-bag haircut and he's a bro from Boston, he gives us the room to do the things we want to do. If I wanted to take a freelance gig or something like that, he'd let us, and it's okay. He doesn't really care. And he'll still try to compensate us, for the work we put in, and that's awesome. And that's kind of where I'm at, is that don't write for free. Don't do it. There is a site I work with, Real Game Media, and right now I contribute there for free. They started out of the blue. I mean, it was literally your WordPress setup, and they're good people. And with that, I don't contribute to them with any urgency. And if you guys are watching this, don't take it the wrong way. Because I will always and forever, and I'm sure you understand, write where I get paid first. If you guys were flinging around money, I'd be like, hey, you need to be paying people. But you guys are, what, a year old today? Congratulations. Or this week. So that's cool. Good job. But eventually, they're going to make money, and I expect, knowing the people there, they seem like good enough people that they'll be able to kick that forward. Other than that, if it's your first time, you've never written anything before, I can understand the mentality of, yeah, you may want to write, get your writing legs under you before you really are demanding a freelance check. But don't let anybody convince you ever that getting paid with experience is an acceptable thing. Like I said, I did it. I did it to other writers. In retrospect, we had people produce quality content that is better than some of the stuff I've read on Kotaku or IGN, Polygon. And to this day, I feel guilty about it. I had one of my former writers, Ryan Hillis, hit me up and say, "Nah, dude, it was cool and we had fun," and that's awesome. And I appreciate the gesture, but yeah, still, listen, we're taking money out of your pocket. That ain't cool. And that's just the big thing. Everybody needs to be treated like they're like they matter. And anybody out there doing anything, don't do stuff for free. My brother's an artist, and I've seen people go all the time, "Hey, can he make me this?" Yeah, I'm sure he can, but you're gonna have to compensate him in some way. You can't pay your bills on exposure. It doesn't work that way. Other than that, because I gotta get to work. After losing the front burner job, I gotta actually, get 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and that's lovely, right? But I just wanted to kind of say that as somebody who's been there, who's done that, who's expected writers to write for free, and I've seen it, I've done it, and part of the penance of doing it is that I feel that's karma's nipping me in the butt now for the things I did to these people then. And, I want anybody who happens to see this video to know that, hey, if you're creating your own content out there, don't let somebody tell you, hey, listen, this really isn't worth something. At the same time, get your voice out there, be heard. If you can't find somebody to publish your work, do it yourself. Websites are so cheap. I'll tell you, I mean, if you were doing super successful, it's really hard to maintain. But, putting something up on WordPress or something like that, it's relatively easy and you can do it. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. There's plenty of public avenues out there to do something with that with. And go ahead and do it. Make it happen. It's not something that you're, you have to feel like you're forced to work for somebody, with them throwing your word out. Because just like with Brash Games, at any time, if they chose to, they can take your name off of the work you created and you don't exist. And you're better than that. You really are. Everybody out there is. I've had the opportunity to work with and write alongside awesome writers and content creators. I'm in a chat on Discord with some incredible people that write or love games, and they tell you all the same. So, with that being said, I have to go to work, and I just wanted to kind of tell you, listen, the industry's changing, and the ball's in your court, especially right now with everything going on. Take advantage of it and go out there and kick some ass, get paid for some writing, and I'll see you guys at E3, hopefully, as long as I can find a way to get there. Later.